Nani gave up rights to Lilo because a white director decided that would be best. And those defending this are probably the same people who would put their grandparents in a nursing home to rot. The themes that Dean Fleischer Camp wanted to highlight in the new live-action Lilo and Stitch were the meaning of sisterhood, found family, and not sacrificing your dreams in the face of hardships. And Camp wanted to modernize and update the live-action version while broadening the idea of Ohana, aka he couldn't understand how a young adult could place her sister's needs over her own. He describes Nani as having 2 rose-colored glasses for somebody in her situation and focuses on the fact that she had to abandon a lot of her dreams or defer them because she had to take care of her little sister and inherited all this responsibility at such a young age. He goes on to say it just felt like she might not have such an easy time buying into nobody gets left behind, because she certainly would feel like, well, I'm struggling here. So that informed the approach we took with the story and with the arch between 2 sisters and what the resolution ended up being. And why is this so insidious? Because Native Hawaiians are being separated at astounding rates. In the past decade, in Hawaii, Native Hawaiians and other Pacific Islanders have had among the highest rates of children removed from their homes. That's twice as high as the rate for white children and 5 times the rate for Asian children in Hawaii. And when you know that the number one reason why children are removed from homes is neglect, you realize that this is all interconnected, because many of these families are struggling with poverty and a lack of access to affordable health care, affordable childcare, affordable housing. And in this case, Nani isn't abusing Lilo, but CPS is essentially saying that she's neglecting her and she's not a safe parent. Why? Because Nani can't afford the out-of-pocket hospital bills that Lilo gets when she almost drowns. And CPS uses that to entice Nani, which she originally says, no, I don't want that. And the way they frame it as Nani going to the social worker saying, okay, like, I need to tell Lilo that she's going into foster care. And then the foster care worker saying, no, wait, there's actually another option. We have your neighbor here, David's grandmother, and she's willing to take her in. Essentially showing that Nani is so concerned with herself and her education that she didn't even try to find other options or Ohana that was around. But no, the social worker, the overworked, tired, with too many caseloads social worker had the time to go and encourage the neighbor to foster. Now let's pretend that's realistic. When Nani signs off on this, Lilo is in foster care, even though it's with a family friend. So that means the system is now involved. And although the foster care system is supposed to be all about family reunification, the reality is that it doesn't necessarily support that. And at 12 months, they will generally push for an adoption placement so the child has permanency. And it's just reiterated throughout the movie that, Nani, you're so young, you're working so hard, this is too much for you, go focus on yourself. Those are Western values. Those are Americanized values where, yes, some Native Hawaiians and some indigenous families, or hell, even immigrant families, have those in our families that detour from the norm and start to adapt these Westernized views. That part is realistic. My issue is that the original movie, that wasn't the point of it. The point was to honor Native Hawaiian culture and the idea of Ohana, nobody gets left behind or forgotten. And Nani is forgetting Lilo here in this new live action movie. But instead of adding a realistic view of like an updated Lilo and Stitch, Disney portrayed an idealistic view of the child welfare system working, when historically it has not only failed but endangered children of color. And instead of showing how the family and Nani and her friends and community could have rallied behind her, could have fundraised, or worked to find programs so she could work and have childcare, or have different friends or aunts or uncles or whoever to swoop in to help support her, and show Nani getting medical assistance so Lilo had insurance, showing the realities of a young woman taking in the responsibility of her sister and most likely needing EBT or SNAP, whatever you call it. Instead, we have these westernized ideals that show when it gets a little too hard, you walk away. You get somebody else to do it. And because she had somebody else do it, it's probably going to be next to impossible for Nani to be reunited legally with Lilo. Because if Tutu doesn't adopt, they will change homes to someone more fit and say like, oh, it's because she's too old, and push for Lilo to get adopted so she's not in the system costing them money. They're not just going to twiddle their thumbs and wait years and years for Nani to graduate and get a stable job and find housing. That would have been much more realistic if they had done like a guardianship without the state involvement. And that would be much more in line with traditional Native Hawaiian values, where the community comes together and they support each other without the system, which is very similar to many Black families and many brown families that will informally adopt cousins, grandchildren without the system's involvement. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, Nani messed up and CPS got involved. That's where she went wrong. Nani is a smart woman. She would understand that she would be watched very carefully and that any mistakes that happened would risk losing Lilo. So most likely she wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. She would have found safe childcare, even if she had to work like 3 jobs or sell family heirlooms. Whatever she had to do, she would have done it.